Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. Was having some technical issues. Before we get into live, I do want to go over something with you. If I can. That's if I can remember how to do this. Let's see. I found something that was really neat the other day. And now I won't be able to find it. We are sitting at 302 subscribers. So thank you to those of you who are watching and all of that fun stuff. But what I wanted to look at, I thought I saw somewhere some stats for last month, but evidently I can't find it. Just give me a second. I'm hoping I can find it, but no. Okay, so we're going to get into this. Whoops, that doesn't work. Okay. Just as a reminder, we are going live next Tuesday. We are celebrating 300 subscribers. And that'll be November 14th. We are doing 300 random animal facts. Don't forget to say hi. Let me know where you're from if you're new. Yeah, I will go first on that. So let's get into this. So number one on my list for the most venomous animal on the earth is the box jellyfish. These guys are really, really not something you want to mess with. You're going to experience things like inflammation, anaphylactic shock, dermatitis. Literally, when these things get on your skin, when the tentacles hit your skin, they burn. And you can actually see the tracks from the tentacles. Contact with one of these 10-foot tentacles carries enough venom to kill you. And they can have up to 60 tentacles, each one loaded with stinging cells. The pain from this can trigger, the venom can trigger heart attacks in just minutes. Pain almost immediately from the time that the tentacles touch you. Do not pee on jellyfish stings. It doesn't work. So don't do it. That is not a true thing. Next up is the inland taipan. So death from an inland taipan can come anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. This snake is capable of injecting enough venom to kill 100 people. Don't forget, if you're on here and you're learning something new, to click that like button so that more people can come in and see me. This is a snake who makes way more venom than it ever is going to need, and they will bite you more than one time, giving out a maximum yield of 110 milligrams in each bite. In humans, you're going to experience headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, collapse, meaning coma or fainting, dizziness, weakness, low blood pressure, a whole mess of stuff that you don't want to deal with. Things like low blood pressure, which we already talked about, destruction of red blood cells, internal bleeding, blood in the urine, bleeding from your nose, bleeding from new cuts. You're going to experience a slow or fast resting heart rate. People have experienced kidney damage from this bite. They've also, you could very well end up with kidney failure from this bite. The bite is neurotoxic, which means it affects the nervous system. The good news is there is an anti-venom. Just keep in mind that the anti-venom is expensive. The venom from one bite is enough to kill 250,000 mice. Next up is the blue-ringed octopus. Symptoms or signs of this bite include excessive bleeding, numbness, nausea, vomiting, vision changes, difficulty swallowing, pain, difficulty breathing, and paralysis. Now, the sad thing about this animal is the bite itself, there's no anti-venom. So the only thing you can do, the doctors can do, is keep you alive until the venom wears off. It takes 1 milligram of venom to kill a human. It is 1,000, the venom itself is 1,000 times more powerful than cyanide. And death can come in 30 minutes. Less if you're a kid, but yeah. We are going back to another animal that we talked about one of its cousins earlier. Now we're going to be talking about the irukandji jellyfish. Symptoms from this sting may not set in till almost 5 minutes to 45 minutes after you've been stung. Severe body pain is what you're going to experience with this. Increased heart rate and trouble breathing, headache, nausea, anxiety, restlessness, vomiting, difficulty breathing. No anti-venom at this time. And this jellyfish is only the size of a sugar cube. And death from this animal can come anywhere from 2 to 20 minutes. And you may, if you survive, you can revisit that pain, I understand, over and over again. Next up is the cone shell. And if you were here for my danger box video, I showed you a cone shell, or 2 cone shells actually. But one of the most venomous cone shells is this guy right here. This is a textile cone. And supposedly those cone shells that eat fish are the most dangerous to humans from what I've read. This is a leopard cone shell. One thing you should never do when you're in Australia, and I think I've talked about this before, is if you're out there, don't pick up a cone shell that you find on the beach. For a very good reason. The animal could still be inside that shell, and if it's sitting like this, buried in the sand, you're not going to see it. You pick it up. The proboscis that the animal has its harpoon in can wrap around the shell and they can very easily sting you. These guys are nothing to mess with. It is believed that one cone shell is enough to, one sting from this guy is capable of killing up to 700 humans. There is no anti-venom. Again, the only thing a doctor can do is keep you alive until the venom wears off. And it only takes a few microliters to kill 10 people. Yes, cone shell. 1 to 5 hours is all that is needed for that venom to kill you. So if they can keep you alive for about that long, then you are good to go. But they do have to keep you alive. Also, if you're diving, no. Yeah, it's not cone, it's cone shell, not snail. But what else was, if you're diving in the water and you see a cone shell in the water, don't pick it up because, again, they can penetrate dive gloves with that harpoon. Moving on to the coastal taipan, if you get bit by this, you will experience headache, nausea, vomiting, collapse, convulsions, paralysis, internal bleeding, destruction of muscle tissue, kidney damage. It also interferes with the body's ability to form blood clots. The good news is there is anti-venom. But just to give you an idea of how much anti-venom costs, it is 1 vial of this venom is $40. Now that is just the cost of the venom or the anti-venom. Typically, a person's going to receive 7 to 10 vials of anti-venom. So you would be looking at around $2,100 in just anti-venom alone. That doesn't include all of the other hospital costs. These snakes typically inject around 120 milligrams per bite, but they can inject up to 400 milligrams. Even if they bite that 120, it only needs 3 milligrams to kill you. A single bite can kill 56 humans, and it can take around 45 minutes if you are not treated to kill you. So it is not a fun animal in the least. The next one is an animal that most people aren't going to experience. However, I'm assuming bites do happen. This is the Dubois, I know I messed that up, sea snake. Now, sea snakes are really weird because they are some of the most toxic snakes on the earth. But interestingly, the bite itself is basically painless. You're not going to have little to no pain at the bite site, and it doesn't lead to swelling. However, and on top of that, you may not even see the bite mark. Symptoms include headache, sweating, being thirsty, drowsiness, blurred vision, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, droopy eyelids, difficulty breathing, poor reflexes, drooling, breathing difficulties, speaking problems, enlarged lymph nodes, abdominal pain, dark urine, blue-colored skin, dizziness, and unconsciousness. Yes, there is anti-venom. Now, a person who is 165 pounds only needs about 3.3 milligrams of venom to kill them. And it takes less than 30 minutes for the venom to kill you. So, do not mess with sea snakes. They are dangerous. Next up, we have the boomslang. Yes, this is just not an animal from Harry Potter. It is a very real snake. This snake lives in South Africa, among other countries. Its venom is hemotoxic. Now, there are basically, see if I can do this. There's neurotoxic, which is, it affects the nervous system. There's cytotoxin that attacks cells. There's hemotoxin that attacks blood. So boomslang venom attacks the blood. Its venom can cause major brain bleeds, so basically you could stroke, internal bleeding, external bleeding, nausea, bleeding from every orifice. If you have a hole in your body, you are probably going to bleed out of it once you get bit by the snake. You're also going to experience headaches and sleepiness. I also read where if you have a recent cut, that could even start bleeding. This is a slow death, and it can take anywhere from 24 hours to 48 hours for the real serious issues to develop. There is no antivenom. It only needs 1 milligram of venom to kill a human, and death from the snake may not come till 2 to 3 days after being bitten. The Sydney funnel-web spider is another venomous creature from Australia. So if you are keeping track, we have covered already the box jellyfish, which lives around Australia, the blue-ringed octopus that is native to Australia, or in that area, the irukandji jellyfish, which is sort of spread out, but also can be made contact with in Australia, cone shells, which are sort of scattered throughout the ocean, coastal taipan, which comes from Australia, the Dubai sea snake, which is around that area, and the Sydney funnel web, which is also from Australia. So, lots of Australian animals. Now, its venom is really weird because if your dog or cat get bit by the spider, it's not going to hurt them. However, the venom seems really amped up when it comes to primates. And since humans are primates, no, don't stay out of it. Just be aware. So these guys, of course, being called Sydney, they live in and around Sydney. And here is the big problem with these animals. Before we even get into the other stuff, the males will burrow. And when they come out of those burrows to find a mate, they are on the move. If you've been out west in the United States during the time that the male tarantulas are traveling to find their mates, you know the spiders go everywhere. They're looking for a dark place. That can be shoes. That can be a bed. Any place dark provides shelter. And it's the males that are the most dangerous. So let's get into what happens if you get bit. So its venom attacks the nervous system. But imagine if you have a cut. Okay, imagine those if you have a headache or a migraine, imagine that signal constantly going non-stop. That's what their venom does. It causes the nerves to always be on. Muscle spasms. You're going to experience a drop in blood pressure, coma, organ failure, and death. There is antivenom. It only needs I'm going to type this into chat because I don't do decimals really good. So they don't need a lot of venom. That is the lethal dose at 0.2. 30 to 40 people a year are bitten by this spider, and there have been 13 recorded deaths. But since the antivenom has came out, there have been no deaths. So that's pretty cool. Death can come in 15 minutes to 3 days, depending upon the size of the person and that person's health. Next up. That's weird. Oh, I left off the inland taipan. They're from Australia too. So next up, we have the saw-scaled viper. And if you have questions at any time during this, please type it in. Speak up because, I want to be able to answer your questions. So the saw-scaled viper is a lot like our rattlesnakes, where they give a warning. Now, what a saw-scaled viper does is it rubs its scales together, and that makes sort of a saw sound. And their venom is both hemotoxic and cytotoxic. Its venom prevents blood from clotting, causes cell and tissue damage. It can lead to severe tissue damage and organ damage as well. Luckily, there is antivenom, and its venom is actually used to manufacture blood thinners in humans. This is a major bite. People out where they live, this is a snake to be feared. And it only needs 5 milligrams of venom entered into you to unalive you. Next up, we have the Deathstalker scorpion. And its sting causes elevated heart rates, convulsions, fever, blood pressure drops, coma, heart failure, respiratory failure, and paralysis. Now, the good news is there is antivenom. The problem is the sting requires large doses of antivenom. Now, most people aren't going to die from this antivenom, or from this sting, rather, but it can still be lethal, and it's going to be very painful. Now, I hit a roadblock with this, so let me go in now. We're going to do what I normally do. If you have questions, throw those out there because I will answer them. Next up is the king cobra. Now, the king cobra's venom, it pumps out a whole lot of venom. I mean, a massive amount of venom. There is an effective antivenom for it. They are experimenting with king cobra venom as a chronic pain treatment, an alternative to perhaps opiates, which would be really cool. Now, here is a really cool fact. Per gallon, king cobra venom goes for $153,000. This painkiller that I mentioned from the king cobra is 20 times more potent than morphine. So if you get bit by this, what can you expect to happen? A whole lot. Tissue necrosis, which is basically rotting fingers or rotting tissue. Paralysis, which leads to the diaphragm being paralyzed. Pain, swelling. Yeah, it's not fun. You can die from a king cobra bite as early as 30 minutes. So really, really important that you get medical treatment if you do get bit. And it can also paralyze the heart. It is possible also. It's 15 minutes to 30 minutes as far as bite. They can kill in one bite an adult Asian elephant. So lots of venom. How is everybody's night going? So animals have venom for a reason. And most of those reasons are not to hurt us. Okay, I feel like that's important for you to know. Most of us, we're aware that there's venomous animals out there, but most of us equate that with foreign places. Some of them, yes, some of them are very tiny. Other animals like the cobra, they get pretty big, but their venom, in most cases, they want to kill before you can hurt them. Black mamba is next. One of the names for the black mamba, I believe, if I remember right, is coffin mouth or coffin something. There is antivenom for the snake. If untreated, meaning you don't get medical help with this snake, it is 100% deadly. If you do not get help after getting bit by this snake, it is 100% lethal. One of the things that we have to remember is when we're out in their environments, we are dealing with these snakes. And you don't really have a choice. If you were to get bit by the snake, you have between 7 to 15 hours to get treated. But you can collapse as early as 45 minutes. No, it's totally black inside. So their venom is a neurotoxic venom. Again, it's going to affect your nerves. So again, you're going to experience things like the heart, breathing. These guys are the second largest venomous snake. They can go anywhere from 6 feet all the way up to 9 feet. And there have even been reports of bigger. This is one of the most feared snakes in Africa. They can deliver anywhere from 100 to 120 milligrams of venom in one bite. You can expect to experience constricted pupils, blurred vision, slurred speech, respiratory paralysis, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, sweating, salivation, goosebumps, red eyes, and basically collapse pretty quickly thereafter. So yeah, do not get bit by this snake. And like I said, there are the main thing is if you see these guys, don't get right up there on them. Leave them alone. That's the main thing. If you come across a venomous snake, give it space. Don't pick it up. Don't mess with it. Leave them alone. And you should be okay. A lot of people get hurt by venomous snakes, depending upon the snake, by stepping on them. They put their hands where they can't see them. Are black mambas aggressive? You know, I like to say defensive. I don't like the word aggressive. They are very defensive from what I've seen. I've never experienced a live one. I really don't want to. So next up, we have the fat-tailed scorpion. These guys, you're dead. If you get bit at noon, you're dead by 6. It is that quick. They are unfortunately small. They're primarily a desert species. So if you are camping out there and you put your shoes outside the tent, and you put your shoe on, you could very well end up with poison. So yeah, don't do that anywhere. Even in America, don't do that. Because, we do have scorpions here too, as well as other stuff. So, if you get stung by this animal, what is something that could happen to you? Intense pain, redness, swelling, as well as heart malfunctions, internal bleeding, visual disturbances, and respiratory issues. So again, not something you want to mess with. These guys, there are more than one species. This is one of the most venomous of the scorpions. Largely, death is going to be caused by respiratory arrest, heart failure, and shock. So, leave it alone. Every country probably has something in it that should be left alone. Some countries have more things that should be left alone than others. Again, it's knowing what's there and what's not. So, another animal, the common crate. These guys are nocturnal. Um, if I remember right. And so you might be sleeping, these things are crawling around, hunting, um, and if you roll over, you're bit. One of the bad things about their venom, sort of like some of the others that we've talked about, because they're nocturnal and you're sleeping, you're not going to know that you got bit. Very powerful neurotoxins. Again, one of the things that are common with neurotoxic venom is paralyzation of the diaphragm. Once that diaphragm gets paralyzed, you're not going to breathe. And I believe that there is antivenom for them. Yes, in fact, there are 2 antivenoms for that. If you get bit, you are going to experience that paralysis. And you may not be able, the antivenom is going to prevent the worsening of paralysis, but it may not reverse existing paralysis. It is, I have 6:54. I'm going to stop for now, and I'm going to answer your questions if you have any. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, the banded crate is a sea snake. Or, not a sea snake, but it is a snake. It is from Asia, around India, I believe. I will always answer questions. If I don't know them, I will look them up and I will let you know in the next live. Or if you're lucky, I will even tell you in my next video. Which I know I need to do videos. If you are coming into this live afterwards, the question for today is, do you think venomous animals should be kept as pets? I want to know. Leave your answers in the comments. So, I hope you all have a great weekend. Yeah, I know. I saw that vote. Guys, you all get that for helping me out. Oh, welcome back or not. I don't know if you're new. If you're in here, please give me a thumbs up. That helps other people see my live. We have been talking about venomous animals. And we started from the bottom and we've been working our way down the list. One of the things that we don't think about is here in the United States, we have the coral snake, the cottonmouth rattlesnakes, copperheads. And we even have our own rare-fanged snakes. We have a few of those that we don't usually think as being venomous, but they are. We have garter snakes, and garter snakes are venomous, but they lack a good delivery system. So in other words, you probably aren't going to feel the effects. And it's not really meant for you. It's meant for its prey items, usually toads or frogs. So yeah, there's that. Okay, I am going to say goodbye. Love you all. I will see you next time. And next time we are doing 300 random animal facts. Yes, 300 random animal facts. Sort of random, anyway. So I will talk to you later. Bye. Oops, I forgot to end it.